Unanswerable Playoff Questions. Today, it's part 4.
Which MVP player has the most to gain in this year's playoffs?
I love this question. I love legacy questions. Those are like some of my favorite. And so we talked about this before we started recording. And I told you to add Chris Paul in there because I think from a legacy standpoint, now Giannis already has one. Embiid, Jokic, even if they don't get one, they're still they're with teams and they're at certain ages. They're going to have more opportunities. KD, put him on hold for a second, and then I think you get to Chris Paul. And here's the thing: I think Devin Booker's probably the better MVP candidate if we're just using it from that lens. But I mean, Chris Paul's right there. They're both gonna be on all NBA teams. They're gonna be two of the top 10 to 15 guys in the league this year, and Chris Paul, I think, has the most to gain out of anybody in the NBA. This is why I wanted to put it. I think he has the most to gain with KD being right there. Because when I think of Chris Paul, it's the same thing I thought about last year. When you think of like who are the best point guards of all time, you can get through, like Magic, Isaiah Thomas, you can get through Oscar Robertson, then you kind of get to like, is it John Stockton? There's a bunch of other names that kind of live in that next range. And so I think for Chris Paul, him having a title and being arguably the best player as a point guard, because it's so rare that it happens that the point guard is the undisputed best player on a championship team. And he's not undisputed, I know that, but it's also a backcourt mate, so it's two guards. That just doesn't happen very often. Steph Curry's the other guy, I missed it earlier, of like that Mount Rushmore of point guards. Yeah. I think solidifies.
You could probably throw Steph on this list too.
That's probably on this list too, yeah. And I think this solidifies Chris Paul as probably the 5th best point guard of all time if he can get the championship, because it's just such a differentiator between others that are on that list. So that's why for me, I really wanted to include Chris Paul in this question.
So if Kevin Durant is able to win a title this year, going all the way from the play-in games to a title, which would be the first time that has ever happened. Not that the play-in game's been around long, but it would be the first time. He'd be the first to do it.
Yeah.
He gets his first title outside of Golden State. He does it with Kyrie. He does it after they trade James Harden, and he does it probably without Ben Simmons. We don't think Ben Simmons is going to contribute much. I think this would be a huge win for Kevin Durant, because if he's able to go from the playing game to a championship and beat the Phoenix Suns, a team that's maybe one of the greatest teams of all time, guys, you heard that right. The Phoenix Suns might be one of the greatest teams of all time. They're playing that well. In the NBA, dude, think about how good the NBA is right now, and they're like 60s whatever and 15. That's crazy. Kevin Durant could win a title this year. I'm not saying it's likely to happen, but if he does it, this is the moment where Kevin Durant can be like, you know what? I am one of the all-time greats. There's no debate about it. You got to put me in like maybe even top 5 conversation for greatest of all time.